Blissful Badger. I've just been challenged to show off 10 cool things in the hobby room, which I like to call the Badger Bunker, by Old Big Mac from The Red Ones Go Fasta. So, I think the first thing I'll share is my hobby desk. I've shown it off a few times in the past, but this is a very nice roll-top desk that I found at a thrift store. And it provides a huge amount of workspace. And if it needs more, it even has slide-out sides. I was looking for a way to have a bunch of little pockets for all of my paint supplies, my parchment paper, the glue, paintbrushes. Everything has a nice little organized space. And I originally thought I would need the roll top to keep the cats off of the paint projects as I left them, but I found I don't actually like leaving projects on my desk. They usually live over on the wall of projects. The pile of potential. Yes, I've shown this off before as well. But, so yeah, the first thing is the desk. And, you know, it's a nice little view. I get to watch a few things and have Discord open and everything. But this desk is serving me well. I've had it for about 3 years now, and I've come to really enjoy it and all of the things that it offers. So the second thing in here is I own one CD in this room, and it's an unopened Nightwish Decades. And the reason why this is in here is because I got to go to the opening night, and they were handing these out. And since I don't actually have an optical player in this room, it's still sealed, but having gone to the Nightwish concert was quite fun. Going to concerts is not something I do a lot, but I have enjoyed the ones that I have gone to. And this being given out in line was really fun. So, also gives a little bit of insight into the kind of music I like. So, the next thing, this might not be as cool, but it's quite useful, is my coffee and teapot. Having a tea kettle in the room and a coffee pot on hand where you can just keep on working at the desk and not have to worry about running to the kitchen constantly keeps you hydrated and keeps you working. Overall, I'm going to add those to the cool pile, because how many people have their own coffee pot in their hobby room? And then the next thing actually is this dice bag. So I made this dice bag, and there's something special about it. It is a dodecahedron. I really enjoy a dodecahedron shape. D12s are my favorite dice, and I actually have a bag just to carry my D12s. And actually, looking at the collection here, I actually need a larger pouch. So I should probably get around to making that at some point. I've been making chainmail for many, many years, way beyond what I've been painting minis for. And this dice bag is finally being outgrown. But it is definitely a cool dice bag, and I do keep all of my D12s. Oh, see, it's so full, I can't even keep all of them in there. And I rolled a 1. Ha! Yep, there's my luck. I rolled a 1 even when I drop a die. But I keep that right here in the hobby room. The rest of the dice, they're in another room. Which comes to the fact that it's actually a little bit hard to find 10 cool things in this room that, yeah, you know, there's a hallway right there. So another thing, let's see, is this drawer system. This is where I keep all my base. Bases. All my base are belong to this container here. Just all the different sizes. I never know when I might need a different size for a conversion. So I have all of these different bases. Ovals and everything. And then I even have even more ovals. Yep. But having a whole container just of bases, just so helpful. And then, since we're going around the room, we also have this fishing tackle box. And now, okay, it's a fishing tackle box. What's cool about that, right? Well, it gives me a way to carry my tape measure and my dice. And some more dice. And tokens. A little hobby packet if I choose to build a model while I'm out. And it also fits one of the storage containers that I've built all of my magnetic storage on, that I did a video about not too long ago. But having it be able to fit one of these allows me to carry some models. And it also has space for my laptop that I use for keeping track of data sheets and everything. And the shoulder strap means that when I'm going to a game, I can still keep my hands free for my carrying cases. So that is quite cool. And continuing along, we have a whole bunch of painted minis and some that aren't painted. I have a lot of Marvel Crisis Protocol in here and Battletech that aren't actually painted, but Everything else in the case is painted, and I know I've shown these off before, but it's fun to always go back and look at the first models ever painted. And in my Termagant pile, 15 years ago, I started with some Termagants. And being able to pick out the original 6 models that I ever painted is always nice. They are mixed into the squads now, but I can pick them out from the crowd, and I can show off anytime I want the original 6 models that I painted. But that is always a cool thing to see in the collection. They could be in their own pile instead of mixed in with everything else, but overall, it's a sign of what I painted that I feel that they're fully welcome in the rest of the swarm. But yeah, being able to pick out the original 6 models is just one of those things that it's always great to keep your first models. And for 15 years, I've had them, even though the collection has grown massive in the past. I still have those, and they still have a place in the hive. Now, we're back at the desk. And so we're going to actually come over here, and I'm going to bring a few things over to show. So we have a texture board that I made. This was very interesting. I use... let me get this. So I use the Vallejo diorama muds and sands all the time, and I wanted to see what they actually looked like with different shades, the GW washes. So I did little splotches of each color. So this is the desert sand, and this is the brown mud, and this is the dark earth, I believe. And I then went through and did the Reichland Flesh Shade and Agrax Earth Shade and Nuln Oil and Coelia Green Shade and Druchii Violet and I don't remember which red this is. I'd have to go check, but I did that with all of them so that I can take a model that I've painted and I can find which color texture paste works best for the models. And I've used this for at least 5 different projects since I've made this. This is actually the newest. This was the Malignant Green speed paint over the desert sand for the Armageddon orcs, actually. That's what I used for the basing of all of the Armageddon. So, this, even though it's just a piece of cardboard that I've actually used to prime on a couple of times, that looks very, Star Wars. But I've used this several times, and it took a little bit of time to make, but it gives me that reference point, and that's pretty cool. I suggest if you use texture pastes, maybe make one of these yourself. They come in handy. And then we come to Starship Troopers. This was quite an interesting find, and I've actually found this this game, twice at swap meets. And I haven't actually played it yet, but I have enough of the different models. This one is actually about half built. There's a little bit still needing to be built, but there's some stuff in here that I should probably work on. The game hasn't been around for a long while, but I do actually have some painted and some still on sprue. And to go along with this, I do also have the rule book. And I've looked into it, and it's a pretty cool game. It's, it hasn't been out for 20 years now. Like, finding this is not something easy to do nowadays. But I have the mobile infantry and the bugs. So one of these days, I think I do need to actually get to working more of these. But I don't want to share a whole lot of models because, I have a whole lot of models and we see that all the time. But something else that I have in here that I think is cool. So I had I'm saying once in a lifetime chance to pick up foam. This big block of foam really intrigued me because, it's solid and it's such a big, massive piece that I was like, that would look really cool as a diorama of like an Imperial bastion or something with, having actual in-set battle locations and trenches and everything. And building this on a table, that's half of a table worth right there. The depth, it's 2 feet, of a table. But what really got me was the opportunity wasn't just for one of them. It was for 3 of them. And having 47 inches of trench frontage. Just, it's so interesting. So, I think I've held on to these for years. The proper terrain build, because that is one heck of a pile of trenches and stuff to be worked on. One of them's a little bit beat up. At 47 inches wide, you could do it at the short end of a table and only overhang a couple of inches, but then have one half of a table going into a trench works. And that's pretty wild. So I have to keep these until I've actually done something with them. Like, who finds huge blocks of foam like this ever? So I think that's pretty cool. And then finally, we come to this. This is the original artwork for my intro video, my intro scene. It was drawn by hand. And what I find is really cool, it's not just that I have this, but it's dated December 9th, 2021. The Badger Den. And that is significant because my first video on the channel came out December 8th, 2022. So for those that are interested, the Blissful Badger has been around longer than the channel itself. But that is the reason why that is the intro to all of my videos, even though I've changed the icon I use for those that have been around for a little while. But that is why the opening scene is still this, because it's been around for longer than the channel. So I hope you found these 10 items as interesting and cool as I do. It was actually kind of hard because the Badger Bunker itself is all about the models, and trying to find 10 things that were not models, well, you saw, I added a few things that were, but overall, it's my models and hobby room. It would have been easy if I had just gone out the other room and to grab something from there, but I wanted to keep it in here in the spirit of the challenge. And yeah, I think I succeeded. I don't know if anyone else is going to follow this up, but since 3 people were challenged in Old Big Mac's video, I figured I would challenge my own 3 people. So, first off, I want to see 10 cool things in Hobby with Ollie's room. We've seen a few behind the scenes things, but I want to see an actual full view of that place that you paint. Maybe it'll get the juices going for some more hobby, huh? Secondly, I want to challenge Dwarven Mustache Hobbying. I know that room has a lot of cool things in it. Let's see 10 of them. And third, Battle Ready. I know you're in a garage and you have quite a few models in there, but I want to see something else in there. What do you have in that room that we don't actually see on screen? That Jenga tower, it held on for many, many months. I want to see some other things in there. Subscribe if you haven't, so that you don't miss any future videos. I also want to thank my patrons and supporters for making these videos possible. And until next time, I hope you find your bit of bliss.